everyone, and welcome to the Foxworth Theory. And I am your host, Eugenia Foxworth, and thank you for joining us today. This show is about entertainment, business, fashion, and the arts. We're going to be talking with movers and shakers from all over the world, allowing them to tell their stories right here on the Foxworth Theory. The buildings and structures we live in and work in on a daily basis are subject to many factors which affect our everyday life. The air we breathe, our nourishment, the water we drink and use, the natural light that pierces our windows, our physical and mental fitness, comfort as well as frame and peace of mind. These factors are incorporated within a framework called the WELL, W-E-L-L, Building Standard, a performance-based system for measuring, certifying, and monitoring features of the built environment that impact human health and well-being through air, water, nourishment, light, fitness, comfort, and mind. In order to have these standards met, we need those who work with the professionals, who will make sure the buildings and even homes we live in meet those goals. That's where our next guest comes in. Denise Colestock Tamez, a WELL faculty member, lead AP, BD plus C, has worked in the commercial design industry as a designer and now as an account executive with Milliken and Company. She is actively involved on boards for the International Interior Designers Association and the International Facility Managers Association. Denise holds a BA in Political Science from Winthrop University, a BFA in Interior Design from the Design and Institute of San Diego, and continued studies in sustainable design from Boston Architectural College and Parsons School of Design. I have to take a break to get my wind back. This is amazing. Well, within, or shall I say, with over 15 years of experience in sustainable design, she engages clients with evidence-based research rooted in well-being and applies her knowledge through education and project management. Her goal is to apply scientific research on sustainable design and change the status quo of the built environment. Denise Colestock Tamez, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about your background. Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Santa Clarita, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. When I was 18, I decided that I would go off to college, which was Winthrop University in South Carolina. And it wasn't because I didn't like my parents. I loved my parents very much. I just knew that there was so much to explore. So I did my undergrad in political science. And the reason being, I had always hoped for a career in public policy. And so after graduation, I moved to Washington, D.C., where I worked on the Hill. And for me, there wasn't a connection yet. And so I felt like I needed something more creative, more hands-on. And the one thing that I kind of felt aligned with everything was my international travels. I always studied the architecture. And so I decided to go back to school for design. And at that point, I knew that I needed to go back to California. So I enrolled in this Design Institute of San Diego, moved to San Diego, and did my degree in commercial interior design.
Okay, so what inspired you to pursue this field of sustainable design?
Good question. So stemming off my love for community and service and doing something bigger than myself, my first year of interior design, I felt like I was failing in that. And there wasn't a connection with community until I learned about LEED. LEED is a credential system, leadership and energy efficiency design, and it was created to help our buildings be more energy efficient, more sustainable, have less impact on the planet. And I thought, this is it. This is the connection I needed to a higher purpose of what I'm doing. So I promised myself that by graduation, I would be a LEED AP. And my senior year, in the midst of working full time and going to school full time and senior projects, I passed the WELL AP exam. And I knew from that moment on, everything I would do in this career would be centered around the environment, health, human occupancy. And so I just continued to pursue that knowledge from there.
Okay, so you have a bachelor's degree in political science and later earned a bachelor's in fine arts as an interior designer, as well as studied at the prestigious Parsons School of Design. Has the combination of these fields of study helped with your work?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, the Parsons School of Design I'm doing right now, that program fell into my lap by a colleague of mine, and I have learned so much about what we come in contact every day in terms of built environment and the materials we breathe, we touch, we consume, and I use that as knowledge for designers, right? So I work with a lot of designers on a daily basis, and interior designers are they're the gatekeeper for human health. They're the ones choosing which products to put in the built environment that accompany occupant health. And so this knowledge that I'm learning on my personal time, I absolutely use to benefit in terms to spread the knowledge to interior designers.
Okay, so on that, let's see. Would you mind explaining to our viewers and listeners in layman terms, what is the WELL building standard?
So the WELL building standard was established in 2014, and there was a six-year peer review process with scientists, experts, researchers to develop a credential system, basically a points-based system that the built environment can use to evaluate human health. So for example, with air, there's a lot of overlap between LEED, leadership and energy design, and WELL, and air and water is a big part of that. So the air we breathe, how it's circulated, how it's filtered, all of that is decided upon by the designers. So the WELL building standard starts with design. How is the building created? And it uses these standards, it uses these 108 features to ask these questions. Are you implementing stairs for circulation? Are you creating a fitness goal for your employees? Are you providing amenities that's going to create healthy environments? So the WELL building standard has those 10 different concepts, and a lot of it is between the design of the building and the operations. How is the building operated on a daily basis?
Okay, which leads me to why is the WELL building standard so important to our everyday life?
It's extremely important to our everyday life because, you know, 1,000 years ago, we were going to bed with the sun, we were waking up with the sun, we were hunter and gatherers, we were moving our bodies every day. You know, we were hunting for our food, we were cooking our food, preparing it all day, right? And so fast forward to now, and we put ourselves in these boxes with artificial air, artificial light, and we're expected to perform the same as we did 1,000 years ago, except the biology isn't there, right? It's not meeting the biology of our bodies. So we need to create these spaces that inhibit disease. We need to create these spaces that empower our human health, because our human health and our happiness, our well-being is completely aligned with our productivity. And that productivity is what makes us happy. If we're not productive, we're not happy. If we're not happy, then that productivity falls, right? So that built environment has a direct impact on how our bodies handle stress, productivity, everything.
Okay, and you mentioned the LEED.
Yes.
Now explain to us, what is the LEED standard?
So the LEED program is a way to design a building to be energy efficient, kind of beyond being energy efficient. Some examples are the water flow, making sure that there's not too much flow in a building using just what the building needs, the airflow, the circulation, so many different things in terms of how the LEED building standard works. And then it's the same way, buildings, if you enroll your project into being a LEED, then you have to accomplish certain criteria to be certified. And being in San Diego in California, now we have such strict policies, built environments policies out here, that almost every new building now is LEED Silver. Silver is the bottom line of what you can be. And so I think the rest of the country is starting to catch up, where we're starting to learn that we should build to not only protect the environment, but it's also the bottom line of a business, right? So if you're creating an energy efficient business, you're not spending extra money on things that aren't necessary, on energy being wasted, on water being wasted. So it's kind of what LEED is.
Right. So I know you've touched on it, but I'm a layman and I've heard you speak before. And as I said, I was in awe. How does the WELL standard work in tangent with the LEED standard? I know you touched on it, but
Sure. So they're completely two different standards, but there's a lot of overlap. So whereas LEED is for buildings and WELL is for people, both entities together create the best spaces, most healthy spaces. So LEED is going to concentrate on the building, the built envelope of the building, whereas WELL is going to focus on the occupant health. So it's going to focus a little bit more on nutrition. What is the cafe serving? What are the vending machines serving? How many ounces of sugar are, in that Coke? And it's going to concentrate on circulation, interior fitness. Are there sit-to-stand desks? Is there access to stairs? Whereas the LEED building is going to be more engineering, more architectural based.
well, I know why this should matter to the everyday person, but would you like to explain it in a more professional manner than I would?
Sure. And it's not about, professional versus non-professional. It's just about our everyday basic needs, right? Human health is a basic need. We cannot live a successful life if we're not healthy. And when we spend 90% of our time indoors, which I thought was a staggering statistic, but it's true. You think about your commute to work, your time in the office. If you go to the gym, that's inside, and then you're home, you're sleeping. 90% of our time is spent indoors. And that all of the materials and the air we breathe and the water we drink have an effect on our human health. So we should all care about the spaces that we enter, because at some point, it may not be in the short term, but it's going to be on the long term that built environment has an effect on our human biology.
Thank you so much, because that's, for me, is like the glossary for dummies. And I wanted to make it clear. I know you're a triathlon, but that's later, because right now I have to go to take a short break, and we will be right back with more of our very special guest, Denise Colestock Tamez. Thank you for joining us on the Foxworth Theory. Be sure to tune in on Thursday at 9 p.m. on the Foxworth Theory Network.